Disclaimer, buckle up. This episode of Three Friends and All the Things is packed with foul language, inappropriate comments, and even some streaking. If that's your jam, then welcome to the circus. Let the shenanigans begin.
The one thing I want to do now that the weather's breaking, hold on, I don't know if want is the right word, need to do is rake up the backyard. The snow and ice brought down all sorts of branches and trees and bamboo that I'm in an eternal fight with bamboo. And didn't we used to have like teenagers running around wanting to make $20 cleaning up yards? Where did they all go?
They're inside on their electronics.
They're playing games.
Yeah. They don't want to work.
Nobody wants to work and make extra money now.
You'd think they'd want to make extra money so they could go on a plane ride.
Yeah. You would think.
No. Speaking of plane rides.
What do you want to do now that's getting nice, Dave?
I want to go out and walk. I want to take nice walks with my wife and enjoy the fresh air and, maybe go out and fix some things on my car that the winter kind of beat them up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe get a car wash, get that in, vacuum out my
So you weren't
cars.
out there in your snow boots and your snowsuit like Ralphie from
Christmas
Story?
I wasn't sticking my tongue on a pole and guy.
That was Flick.
Me in. Yeah, they would report me for that one.
It was Flick. And it was actually Ralphie's brother that was done up in the 18
I can't put my
outfits
arms
and a
down.
scarf.
Yeah, they would call the cops and say there's a weirdo out there licking the pole. I mean, we heard of window lickers before, but pole lickers were out of the ordinary.
That could
Hold on,
go
I have
a whole different way
lickers,
there.
but in a totally different context.
Now with it getting
Chris,
nice,
what about you?
Like
what are you doing now that spring has
sprung?
sprung?
My smoker.
Well, now that spring has sprung, I am really looking forward to getting on the riding lawnmower and cutting the grass. I just have this
It's a fun thing to
accomplishment
do, though, isn't it?
feeling of like when the grass is cut and the lines are right. And No. I got out on the riding. It takes me about an hour and a half to 2 hours because the property's pretty big, but like I make sure every single thing is done. Like I go around the trees and I go around the flower boxes and I do all sorts of it's a big property. So it takes about 2 hours and I am more than happy to just put my headphones on, put my music on, jam while I'm driving and doing my thing. And it's awesome, especially on a nice sunny day. Get a little bit of a tan going. Yeah.
Chris, are you like me where power washing your sidewalks brings a sense of peace?
I love power washing.
No. Those lines.
So good.
Those perfect lines.
I know.
It reminds me like trying to color a whole page in. You guys turn the dirty
colors
area
outside
into
the lines.
Perfect white concrete. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Welcome to Three Friends and All the Things podcast, the show where filters go to die, opinions fly free, and laughter is basically a full-time job. They're not here to solve the world's problems. They are here just to make each other laugh and maybe learn a thing or two along the way. This is Three Friends and All the Things podcast, real talk for real people.
And welcome to another episode of Three Friends and All the Things as we talk about nonsense yet again. So today's topic, we're going to talk about air travel and the differences between what it used to be versus what it is today. And we're going to cover a whole lot of subtopics that Colleen was kind enough to bring to our attention. So
yay.
Basically, I'm going to start this out and then we'll get into our subtopics.
Fact of the
Chris,
day.
before you
Oh,
start
I'm sorry. I forgot fact of the day. I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
We
So I
love
have
Dave's
two.
fact of the day.
Yeah, I have two. So the first one is your brain can store about 2.5 million gigabytes of information. That's roughly the equivalent of 300 years of nonstop TV shows all packed up inside your head.
Oh
And
my
then you
God.
hit menopause and it all goes
That's
away.
fact number one. Fact number two is the average traveler walks 1 to 2 miles inside a large airport. That quick walk to the gate B12 is basically cardio session in disguise. No gym membership needed. Just miss your connection once.
That's a good
That's
fact of the day. That kind
absolutely
of ties
true.
into our
Yeah.
topic.
Yes, that rolls us. That's why I did it the second one, because it rolls us into our topic.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
just so
I
you
like
guys
that.
know, before we get started on this, I have some long developed grudges.
Okay.
that we're going to be talking about today. So if I go off on a tangent, you're going to have to pull me back in.
We will.
Because these have been sitting on my soul for years.
Land the plane, Colleen. Land the plane.
All right. So we're going to talk
Speaking of-
about, no pun there. Okay. So air traffic, the big picture. Okay. Overall, air travel in the United States remains statistically very safe, but the operational environment is under significant strain. What travelers are experiencing today is not a breakdown of safety, but a system being stretched across staffing, funding, infrastructure, and public perception pressures simultaneously. So let's start with TSA and the TSA funding and their pay and their fees and all this other stuff that goes on. Okay. What is your opinion on what is going on with TSA and the agents not being paid and they're being forced to work? What do you guys think about that?
Well, I'll tell you what I think. I think we kind of do things butt backwards in this country. Like, we're more concerned about clearing up people that cross the border, and we're paying that government part of the, agency. But then the ones that are keeping us out of a 9/11 incident again, where they've constantly, thoroughly search everybody and make sure nobody's wearing anything or carrying anything they ain't supposed to be. And you pay that extra money for that TSA approval thing where you just kind of, you get approved, pre-approved, and they kind of like put you through versus making you do the strip search and all that, nonsense. So I think we need to prioritize better, because we're always talking about prioritizing with, just people in general in this country. Because
I think the fact that the government goes on strike and our essential workers, which TSA to me is an essential worker, doesn't get paid, but the politicians who are on strike do get paid.
Yeah, they still collect the check.
In what world does that make sense?
Doesn't
In
make
what
sense.
world?
Doesn't make sense.
None at all. And the whole reason they did this was because they were mad at ICE and they want to pull ICE back. So let's go on strike and we'll show them. Guess who's brought into the airports?
Okay.
ICE.
Do you know why? Do you know why ICE gets paid and TSA does not?
It's something about them being under a different division or a different branch.
Correct. So TSA and ICE are both under Department of Homeland Security, except TSA relies on appropriations and passenger fees, where ICE, under the big beautiful bill, was granted money. They have federal funding for quite a few years. I think it was something like $75 billion or something was allocated to ICE, but TSA has to rely on getting approved from the Senate every year or whatever it is, however often it is. And that is why, is why ICE gets paid and TSA does not. Now, I guess on the tail end of that, having ICE in the airports, what is that doing?
Nothing. They're
What
not
is that
doing
doing?
anything except crowd control. They're not
Right.
scanning passengers. They're not checking luggage. They're not helping to expedite the lines. They're just making sure that no one decides that I've had enough of this bullshit and I'm going to start talking about it, because you can't. ICE is there. They will drag you away by your neck.
Correct.
That's the only thing they're doing, is making
Correct.
sure that people don't complain. And if you
It's
do
almost kind of
complain,
like
they haul you off.
they've been into they went into a martial law type thing, where now instead
Do you
of there
guys
being
remember in World War II, the secret police people like that, right, Dave?
yes, I guess similar to that. I mean,
Gestapo.
the thing that gets me is they're supposed to be there to help move along the process, assist, whatever it is they're supposed to be doing. I think they're taking that opportunity to do their job. Like, their job is outside the airport, collecting the gang members that came across the border that shouldn't be here, which I understand. I'm all for the collection of the gang members, but I think we can, with ICE, I think it's a slippery slope, because you're getting innocent people caught up in that rap. You know what I mean? And it's,
My
I don't know.
understanding was that TSA referred to ICE. So if you land in the United States and you flag and there's something wrong, TSA does a preliminary investigation, and if there's an immigration issue, they send you over to ICE. That's my understanding of how they're supposed to work at an airport prior to, we'll just leave it a prior.
I think ICE is kind of useless in this respect. I think they're just there taking up space. Like you said, they're not screening passengers. They're not, they're not checking IDs. they can't. That's not their job. They're not supposed to be doing that. They're just a presence, right? They're going to look out for, behavioral issues, or fist fights starting in line. They're going to go in and they are. They're crowd control. It's exactly what they are. They're standing at doors. Their presence is known. And I guess maybe people want to think, oh, ICE is here. Maybe we're safer, but I don't believe that. I think people are going to see ICE
other than white bread middle America. I don't think anyone's thinking that.
Right. And I think
if you're
the minute you see ICE the minute you see ICE at the airport, you're going to start sweating. You're going to be like, oh God, oh my God, I hope they don't see me. Even though you didn't do anything,
Apparently that doesn't matter.
Right.
No.
So
I think ICE is a great soundbite that doesn't have any actual teeth to it at all. I think it sounds good for the president to say, I sent ICE in. But
what about the hiring? What about the hiring of these guys? Like who are we hiring? Like, are these guys, what's their credentials that they have that makes them authority? Yeah. Like, are they ex-military guys? Are these guys that are like ex-detectives, ex-cops, ex-whatever? They have some type of background in the stuff that they're doing. Like, so that's my thing. I think a lot of this stuff that they're doing is the way I look at it is it's kind of bullying in a way, because somebody's giving them the right and they're going in, all right, look, well, dude, you're not going to, like, cops, our own police are under scrutiny for being rough with people in general, right? Like pulling out tasers and shooting people. That's all being considered. But now you're going to take a government entity and give them a power that our local police departments aren't even allowed to have.
Yeah. They're being weaponized, just like the SS.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion on ICE in the airports. They're useless.
You have to have
SS.
You have to have criminal investigation experience or in like a related field like that. But you also have to have a bachelor's degree. You have to, or a master's degree, or specialized experience like law enforcement, military, or a specialized field. They're going to be the more competitive.
To be
people.
ICE?
Yep. And you have to go through a medical check. You have to go through a very intensive background check, drug screening, physical fitness examination. That's
Do you know what
ICE.
I didn't hear on that list? Do you know what I did not hear on that list was the psychological exam.
They do an analytical communication and critical thinking skills area, and proficiency in a foreign language is highly valued. You don't have to have it, but it's highly valued.
So basically,
so you can
they want to know that
I'm going to shoot you in 12 languages.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't weed out the fact that you're psycho.
Yeah. So, you have like about
ex-military, and the critical thinking thing gets me, because they're saying, okay, so you could put a puzzle together. You're good.
Yeah.
You can figure out this puzzle.
So can Bobo the monkey. But hey, listen, I'm so going to be on like every list after this episode airs.
So basically, when you disappear, Colleen, we're going to know why.
We're going to know who took you.
So
we're going to know who took you.
Let's talk about my personal gripe. Can we talk about my personal gripe?
Yes.
Sure.
Let's talk about
you decide that you're going to go on vacation. And you log on to your favorite travel website, and you're looking at the difference in cost between this airline and that airline. I'm not going to name anyone specific. You then, after you compare all of the prices and decide that this is the best price for me for what I want, you then have to go onto that airline's website to find out what their baggage fees are. Why? My God, why are baggage fees separate? When I'm booking an international flight, I'm not taking a little tiny backpack. I'm taking baggage, right?
Yep.
Why I understand when the economy airlines started that they broke everything down. Like all you get is your seat, right? And if you want a bag, and if you want oxygen, and if you want pretzels, it's all separate. I get that for the domestic economy flights, but when you're flying internationally, they're hiding these secondary fees. And one airline, it's $75. Another airline, it's $100. This airline, it's £50. That airline, it's £70. This airline has 72 linear inches on their requirements. This other airline doesn't care as long as it's under the weight limit. There's absolutely no uniformity in any of the rules and regulations.
Correct.
Now, I get that for different planes, they have different weight restrictions, like an Airbus 220 or whatever they are, versus a Boeing 757 or 77 or whatever they're up to now. They have different weight restrictions. But there has to be some standard that it's not left up to us, since we're paying so much more than we used to when it was a one-time fee. We're paying so much more, and we're adding on all of that extra work. And if you complain about it when you get to the airline, ICE pops out from behind a curtain and takes you away. That's my personal issue.
Well, the baggage fee thing, there's, everything, the baggage policies are very inconsistent across the airlines. Like Colleen said, one airline is this much, one airline is that much, another airline is the first bag is free, another airline is your first 2 bags are free. Now they want you to pay for seats, like they're even adding them on. It's a way for the airlines to make money. It's a way for them to make money.
And
because
and you got to remember
with
too,
the inflation and jet fuel and food, and they got to pay the workers, and they got to pay the pilots, and they got all this stuff. It all adds up, right? So
why hide it? Why not just put it in the price?
Because they look,
it's an
they look at
international flight.
it.
Why hide it?
Because they look at it from a perspective of they're a separate organization. They're not like, let's say, American Airlines and Delta. Delta is their own corporation. They don't have to do what anybody else does. They can do what they want, just like American Airlines, just like US Air, just like Air Canada. They can all do what they want. Most of your flights, I think the competition part comes in is, right, so if we change this about our weight limit, maybe we'll win over a few travelers that may have gone with American Airlines because Delta says, you know what, we're going to give you your first bag free and only charge you $25 for your next bag. Just keep it under 50 pounds.
Right, but you have to hunt for that information. When you go on to a travel website like Expedia.com or Travelocity or any of them, none of those fees are included. You have to hunt those down separately.
Because it's a third party.
I don't understand the point of that. Oh,
it's
your
a third
price looks
party.
Better.
It's a third party.
It's a third party. So look at it this way. When you go into a store, a lot of stores, if they know there's going to be a sale, and I'm pretty sure I'm accurate when I say this, they'll jack the price up a couple bucks to get closer to what the sale price, the actual
but when
sale
you
price
get to
is.
the register, you don't find out that Frito-Lay that was on sale is charging an extra $2 to carry the bag out of the store. The price is the price.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, now they charge you separate for the bag if you
well,
want
here's
to
the
carry
thing.
bag.
So here's the thing. I guess you could say that they're hiding it, but then maybe not. If you go on,
they're making me work for it.
Well, right. I mean, if you go on Kayak or, Priceline.com or whatever third party you're using, you're going to get the deals, right? So it'll be like, oh, if you fly this airline, there's $0, right? But then it's kind of like if you're looking for a specific time, but you're doing the package deal on the third party website, the package deal is going to try and give you the most ridiculous free air travel time, right? So you're going to get something like the plane leaves at 5 a.m. I don't want to leave at 5 a.m. I do not want to be boarding a plane at 5 a.m. No, I'd rather take the 9 o'clock flight, right? Well, the 9 o'clock flight is plus $400 per person, right? So it's that kind of thing, right? So you go on and you book the trip and you're like, okay, through Expedia, because I look at Expedia packages a lot, right? So, I could go to Europe and it'll cost me $1,500, because I can get the flight and the airline ticket all included and the hotel and da-da-da-da.
And the car and the hotel and the travel package.
Right. Yeah. But then because that's a third party, you go on to the airline website and that's where you're going to get all your information about baggage. The third party has nothing to do with the baggage rules. They have to abide by what the airline thing is.
If you decide on Expedia that you're flying with American, there's no confusion as to what the baggage fee is. It's a posted policy. This is how much we charge. Why not just tell me that up front? Why make me dig through 7 airlines to find out if Lufthansa or Air France or Air Lingus or American.
Lufthansa? I think you mean Lufthansa. Lufthansa. Oh my God.
It's all the same. It's how you persuade. Tomato, potato.
It sounds like I'm having amnesia with my loofah in the shower. Lufthansa. Oh my God.
It's a combination of an airline and death. And that's where I'm at.
I
Gotcha.
honestly don't think that
But
they hide.
the baggage fees are set fees. They don't change them day to day. So why not list them up front with the price of the ticket?
Because 90% of I shouldn't say 90%.
Because it
That's a
looks
bad
better?
number. I would say 75% of people do most of their inquiring about flights through calling in. Because you get, from what I've seen and how I've dealt with the travel part of
Calling
it,
in who?
calling
airline.
the airline and getting tickets, because there are certain things
Really?
that if you call, you'll get everything, discounts and stuff like that laid out front that they may not show on the website.
Mm-hmm.
Like I deal with
Hmm.
Southwest. Sometimes when I call Southwest, I find a better flight calling them because it's not always posted on their app. So
Yeah.
when I call
Okay.
there, everything's late. And
I'm
I've traveled
definitely
enough.
missing a trick.
Yeah, like
Okay,
one thing
so-
is,
Definitely
I've
missing a
traveled
trick.
enough to know that American Airlines charges for each individual bag up to a certain weight. Southwest gives you one bag free and charges you for the second one and they let you have a carry-on to bring on. And they give you that second one if you stay under a certain weight. Now,
Right.
But even
Southwest
if you
and
go
American
onto
Airlines are basically the only two that I've ever flown on for the most part, because if I go overseas internationally, most of the time when we take that cruise, it's been American Airlines. I mean, I did do Air Canada. They're a little bit different, but I don't travel them. So not when I do, I mean, I don't speak for everybody, but I know when I travel or Jennifer usually sets our stuff up, she'll call and she'll get the travel agent on the phone. She'll start asking those questions. All right, what's my baggage fees? What am I doing? Can I get away from doing a layover? Can we go out 2 days, do what do they call that?
excursions.
No, when we do a flight, go out, instead of taking a flight to the cruise, go out 2 days early where they do like a deflected thing where you deflect your flight and you go to like you want to go out 2 days before everybody else is going out. You pay extra for that. So you have to book your own flight.
Let me add this in. When you go onto American Airlines website and you look at the price of flights, even there, they don't add the baggage fee.
No.
I don't think they
Why?
add it on until the end.
Why? That's my question. Why?
Because if you
just
want
the
to
way
go
they-
on the
they
trip that
Because it looks
badly,
better.
well,
Yeah, for them,
probably,
mate,
but you
'cause-
want to go on you want to go that badly, you're going to go through and by the time you get to the baggage claim,
You're
after you
not
get
gonna
over the
care.
heart
Most
attack
people
of the
aren't gonna care.
price,
Yeah, most
you're not
people
even going to care. You're going to be like, okay, baggage fee $20, deal. I'm spending $600
Who are you
or whatever.
flying with?
No,
Well,
I'm
here's
just
the
saying,
thing.
like,
And a
whatever.
lot of times,
It's $100 each
to
way.
kind of build off what Chris is saying, a lot of times what they're looking at is, all right, our flight's a little cheaper, so we'll get them in the baggage. We'll get extra back in the baggage. And in the other place, the flight might be more expensive, their baggage might be cheaper. So
Or the
Why not
baggage is
just say that up
included.
front?
Or it's
Why
included,
make me
right.
hunt down that information? Like,
That's-
you've pissed me off already because you've increased the prices hundredfolds in the last 20 years. You get less on the plane than you used to.
Yeah.
Things that used to be included, like I always flew internationally years before I ever flew domestic. I was going back and forth to Ireland all the time. And it was blankets and pillows and headphones and real silverware and all of the perks that came with flying overseas. And all of that's been scaled back. And now you're going to make me hunt for information instead of just being upfront about it.
Yeah.
Like, if your baggage fee is X and their baggage fee is Y, I'm still going to compare the two at the end of the day, but you're making me work for it and pissing me off before I even fly with you. And that's before
unfortunately for
delay
you,
75
you're one of a
times.
low amount of people that do that, so they don't care. They're like, whatever. They're like, who cares what she thinks?
And you
That's
can't
like me. They're
complain
like, who cares what he
anymore
thinks?
because if you complain, you end up in airport jail.
Well, there's that.
Yeah, well, you
know.
can't say bomb on a plane, Colleen. You can't do
Well,
that.
I wasn't threatening to blow anyone up. I was
Oh my
just telling
God.
them they were an asshole.
It's not like you have a bomb. All I'm saying is the friggin' stewardess doesn't have to be rude
Take
to
the
me.
little sticks out of your ears and listen.
Listen.
You
Ben
are
Stiller.
not taking this
I wasn't
bag from my
allowed to yell
grip
at the
death
stewardess
grip.
that spilled a
If
cup
you
of
want my
hot
bag,
coffee
you're gonna
on my
pull it out
lap.
of my dead, lifeless
grip.
fingers.
Spilled a hot cup of coffee on my lap in the first half hour of the flight, of the 7-hour flight,
Oh, honey, I could
for
tell
which
you,
I did not have a change of clothes.
honey.
Look, I flew.
let me tell you, get on a
flew with
plane and
American
fly to
Airlines.
Australia. Okay,
We-
then
No,
we'll talk.
I don't think I could do that.
I flew to Germany to go to Spain to catch a cruise, and we did a layover there for about, I guess it was an hour layover. So we landed in Germany. I didn't get a meal from Philly to Germany. But here's the funny part. Coming back from London to Canada and then getting on a plane in Canada to go to the States, I got a meal from London to Canada. Or
Uh-huh.
Air Canada. I have my own TV that folds out from the handle of Air Canada. So my flight on Air Canada was way more pleasant than American Airlines going from Philly to Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about my last experience. I was flying from Florida back to New Jersey, and I went budget because it's a 2-hour
That was your first
flight.
Mistake.
That was my first mistake.
Was it Spirit?
Frontier.
I was going to say, or Frontier.
Yeah, those two airlines are terrible. I mean, I don't know what their flights are like. I've never gotten on, but I know their customer service.
7-hour delay at the airport in Orlando. 7 hours. Got on the plane, and the first thing they did was offer to let us buy snacks. After sitting there for 7 hours. You couldn't even offer us water and
Let me ask you a question.
pretzels?
Is it any different than going to a Phillies game during a rain delay? When you go inside and they're still going to sell hot dogs and beer and food and drinks, and you've been sitting there for 2 hours. Who wants to sit there and go home at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning after watching a Phillies game? But yet, rather than giving you something, they're going to make you pay
between
for
2
it.
hours and 7 hours.
It
Right?
is, but I mean, it's the same concept. They're making
people
money
flying
off of that.
children.
They love that stuff.
Yeah, it's
Well,
all
the
money
airport
making.
loves that stuff because
Yeah, they
they're
love it.
making money.
Yeah,
The
It's all money
airline-
making. Yeah.
And listen, this is how they got out of offering us any refunds. The airline said that it was the airport's fault in, Chris, you'll love this, Chicago, because the plane was late leaving Chicago. And it was an airport issue, not an airplane issue. And if it's
Okay.
not an airplane issue, they don't have to issue you a refund or a credit.
Yeah.
It's only when it's directly attributed to your airline that
Do
you
you-
can get a refund or a credit.
Do you remember when they used to have weather-related incidents and like flights would be canceled and the airline would put you up in a hotel for the night? Do you remember that? They'd give
remember
you a
that.
voucher for a hotel and you could go and stay in the hotel and they were guaranteeing you, we're going to get you on the first flight out of here. You're going to be on the 8 o'clock. You're going to be on the 9. You're going to be whatever, right? Because some
You
people
mean when
are
they cared?
well, right. Okay. Now, every time something like that happens, it's like, okay, well, my plane didn't leave because, the weather and you guys called the flight and that's it. You canceled it. Well, we can't help it if it's an act of God. That's out of our
Yeah.
hands. Where
Yeah.
before they used
Have
to give
fun
you
sleeping
vouchers.
on the floor.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't even with them.
Yeah. I've had a couple
Is
of
that
those flights
another
where I've
gripe?
slept in the airport. I mean, it wasn't fun, but
I've been
Getting
very
back-
fortunate that I've always had good flights, except for one when I was younger. We were going to Kentucky, and
Yeah.
we were leaving Cincinnati to come home with my ex-wife. We got on the plane. We were 33,000 feet in the air, and an engine stalled. And we flew
Ouch.
back to the airport to get on another plane.
All right.
They-
Knock on
it-
wood.
it-
I've never had an onboard experience.
oh,
Like,
I have.
All those near misses that they have today, or
Yeah.
the not so near misses that they
Oh,
have today.
I was
I've
on
never had one of those.
Oh no, I was on a flight. We were coming in for a landing and we were coming in for a landing and all of a sudden, like as we were just about to touch down, the pilot, it was like Tom Cruise. He just shifted that thing and we went right back up again. And I was like, oh, and I was with my ex-husband at the time. And I looked over and he was like, oh, see, look, you can have a little bit of fun. I'm like, why are we not landing? What just happened? And he's
Different
like, oh, no.
idea of fun.
Yeah. So we circled around and then we
Did you get
landed.
on the radio and say, "Hey,
Not a
tower,
roller
this is
coaster.
Maverick requesting flyby"?
Yeah. Yeah.
Denied, Maverick. Denied.
This is Antonov. This is Antonov. My plane bigger. I'm bigger than you. Yeah. Did you ever see those videos? They're funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's
do you
talk
guys
about.
do you feel safer flying today than you did 20, 30 years ago?
I've never felt unsafe.
10 years ago? Do
I've
you
never
feel
felt
safer than-
unsafe.
I've never felt unsafe. I mean, I see the near misses that they're having now, like that incident
Mm-hmm.
that they just had that fire truck hit that plane.
And the Air
Yeah.
Canada. Yeah.
Mhm.
That
It's-
was very
I
sad.
mean, I know we're hearing a lot of it, but I don't know that it's consistent enough to say, "Hey, yeah, we got a problem." You know what I mean? Like you hear one or two, and then it goes silent for a year or two, and you don't hear as
One
much.
or two? There
Like
was a
incidents,
span
like near,
where it
like
was
maybe near
every
miss,
week.
yeah.
near
where there
miss or an
was-
accident.
Yeah, there
I
was
mean,
a
I don't
span
catch
where it
every
was
news
coming on
episode, so
every single week on the news.
yeah, but a
These
lot of
planes were
times they're
within
talking about
100 feet of each other. These planes were within 75 feet of each other. These planes didn't even know that the helicopter was
well,
there.
in all honesty, if you think about technology and how far we've come in technology, you're only hearing about it more because they have a way to record it. Back in the old days, you didn't hear about that much because they didn't have those ways they had a way of pushing it under the carpet, keeping it quiet.
There's
You know what I
increased
mean?
reporting and visibility like now than as opposed to what it used to be. And they're basically indicating that their systems are working the way they're supposed to. Now, with the Air Canada incident at LaGuardia Airport, it came out that the fire trucks were supposed to have transponders in them, and they did not. Had they had transponders in them, the alerts would have gone off and they would have had some sort of warning. Okay. Now, I wasn't
and Chris,
there.
While I agree with that, the guy still gave him the go ahead to cross.
I
that
am not
lane.
denying that. I am not denying that. But what I am saying is there's a possibility because it didn't happen. So I'm going to say 50-50 because either in my world, it's either yes or no. Like it's going to happen or it's not. Had those fire trucks had the transponders in them, they should have alerted, right? Bells and whistles should have been going off, right? That did not happen because they weren't installed in the fire trucks, right? Now, here comes Air Canada coming in for a landing. The fire truck was given the go ahead. Then the air traffic controller said, no, stop, right? Too late. So they collided and that was the end of that, right? With that being said, I think that the air traffic controller was, well, first of all, I think air traffic control people are under a ridiculous amount of pressure. They're not correct. They're not staffed to the capacity that they should be. So you have, say, 2 air traffic controllers doing the work of what should be 8 people in that tower. Okay. And the guy who gave the fire truck the go ahead and then tried to stop him, he literally said, I messed up. Do you
guys know if air traffic control is paid by the government or the airport? Are they private or federal?
I think they are government, I think.
Because that leads me to another temper tantrum. We're paying ICE, but not our air traffic control people.
Okay,
right?
Air traffic controllers are federal employees paid by the FAA, funded through the Airport and Airway Trust Fund.
Yeah, I was going to say they're funded by the airport because they work out of the airport.
And a trust fund.
So that's the name of they're funded through the Airport and Airway Trust Fund. So that's that's the
you think about it. You're in the airport and you buy food. All that stuff that you do in the airport goes to the airport.
It's not like Dallas pays Dallas's ATC and Philly pays Philly's ATC. They have a federal fund that they're paid out of, right?
Yep. And it's financed by taxes on airline tickets, air cargo, fuel. And that is essentially paid by passengers and aviation users rather than general taxes. So all those hidden taxes, or I shouldn't say hidden, I should say all the extras. Oh, we're going to throw in $1 here and $1.50 for that. And you have googly eyes. So we're going to, yeah, you have googly eyes. So we're going to charge you $400 here. All these things add up. And that's
you want to fly first class, you're going to pay an extra tax on that ticket. Because you're getting the meal, you're getting the TV, you're getting this, you're getting that.
You're getting the jammies.
You want your feet rubbed, you're getting your feet rubbed, for God's sakes.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
So what we're saying here is that the federal government is paying for drivers and security and hotels and banquets and dinners, but not paying to properly fund air traffic control.
I think that you might be right on that one. And I think it's an absolute disgrace. I think that the people who are stalling and making a decision to have things run this way, I definitely think they're wrong. Okay. I feel so sorry for the TSA agents who are working and not getting paid. It's on the news here, right? And they have TSA agents who are like, we're at the airport. We don't have money to eat. We don't have money to put gas in our car to get to work, but we have to work because we're not allowed to call out or whatever. And they're going to the pantry, right? That is set up for the TSA agents who are not getting paid. And these people are like, we have to swallow our pride and we have to go to a food pantry at the airport just to get food for our families because they are not getting paid.
Let me ask you this. If you weren't getting paid, would you go to work?
Absolutely not.
No.
Nope. And
in all honesty, it's probably not any different if if a union goes on strike. There's no union pay for the guys that are on strike. They're out. They're not getting paid.
But they're also not working. These guys are still forced to show up to work.
Here's the thing with TSA, right? I applied for a job with TSA. I was offered a job with TSA to be the...
My God, the standards have dropped.
Right? And I'm like, oh, that'd be kind of fun until I saw the salary. Do you have any idea how much TSA people get paid?
I'm sorry.
You want to guess?
I'm having visions of Chris as a TSA agent.
I'd see you coming and I'd be like you, out of line.
Yo, flag.
Yeah.
I want to look at her suitcase.
Flag this bitch.
I want to
take her
shoes off. What's in her hair? I want her hair down. Let's go.
Entry level for a TSA agent. If on the high end, this is on the high end, $35,000 to $40,000 a year.
Is that even minimum wage?
Probably not. And if you're an experienced TSA person and you have seniority, you're looking anywhere between 60 and if you're lucky. These people get paid absolute crap, okay? And now they're being forced to work while the Senate or the, government, whoever makes the decision is just sitting there and they're like, oh, we can't agree. So sorry, we're getting paid, but we can't agree. So you people who are keeping our airports safe and travelers safe and running all the security protocol, we're just not going to pay you. Oh, but P.S., you have to come to work. Otherwise, you're going to get fired. Well, how do you expect somebody to go to work when you're under, your poverty level at that? Like, come on. Yeah. What are you doing?
I was
it just does not make sense to me.
They were actually interviewing some lady. I don't know where she was from. I just caught a tail end of it. And she's like, I can't even afford to put gas in my car to go to work.
Yes.
So she's like, I'm just staying.
Honestly, it's obscene is what it is. It's
pathetic. It's disgusting.
We as a country prioritize backwards. Like we put other things above important things. And it's it's like the greasy wheel screams loud enough. We got to oil it. So just give it, no matter what it is, just give it.
You don't have to oil it. You just take the wheel and you bury it in the desert. And a politician sits on top of it and pretends that it never existed.
Like, I'm sorry, but the people who are making these decisions and they're against and holding up the approval of the income that you're going to pay these TSA agents, they shouldn't be getting paid. But guess what? They're going on recess for 2 weeks.
Now,
so guess what? That's going to delay it another 2 weeks. And are they going to get paid? Yeah, they will.
I don't think that they should be forced to pass a bill that they don't believe in because TSA isn't getting paid. It's almost like you're holding them hostage, right?
Are you talking about the government?
If you're holding up the bill because you're mad about ICE, I don't think it's right that other agencies are being penalized because of that. But I don't think that it should be used as leverage like it is being.
Well, I don't think...
stop paying the politicians while this is all going on.
Right.
That's what I agree with.
And I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair that the ICE sector of the big, beautiful bill gets money put into their pockets, right? So they have money to fund them.
A big dramatic eye roll under the big beautiful bill.
Yeah. So
how about Morgan Acropolis doesn't get a dime? Just because he's the governor, he doesn't get jack.
Whatever.
Well, I mean,
let's give it to the TSA
if we stopped
people.
Paying the politicians and we took away their security and their benefits, their
100%.
health care, their banquets, their fundraisers, all that bullshit, and put that to where the people are actually working.
I totally agree with that.
I think shit gets done a lot faster.
And I kind of feel like it's kind of like complete bullshit, really, that the ICE sector of all of this has money to fund them for like many years to come, right? They don't have to worry about the Senate voting. They don't have to worry about, the government voting and passing a bill or whatever. Where TSA, that section is left out. Why? Why are you funding what? They're all under the DHS. Why are you picking and choosing who you're going to fund and who you're not going to fund? Like, that is just not fair. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like you're both saying, take money away from the politicians. Don't pay them. Don't pay them. You want to go on recess for 2 weeks?
Start moving real quick.
And that's my thing. Like, if we're going to, it's just like anything else. Like, if the company decides, hey, we're shutting the workforce down today, but the supervisors are going to continue to get paid. Like, how's that fair to the guys doing the work? Like you
Right.
can't
Exactly right.
you can't segregate or separate the two. It's all under the same umbrella.
Mhm.
So if you're going to stop work today, how are you still collecting a check on these other people who actually do work? You're not paying them.
Right.
Yeah.
And they
So,
actually
while
risk their
we're on-
lives. In my opinion, you're there risking your life every day because you don't know something's going to happen in that airport. Somebody's going to
But then, right, and to piggyback what you're saying, right, there's working without pay. Well, how long is that going to go on for, right? Then you have the people who are calling out, and then you have people who are quitting, right? So what is that doing to the airports and the TSA agents, right? That means you have less people scanning, less people checking, less security, okay? And then all of a sudden something happens and everyone's like, well, how the hell to get through the airport?
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Take a look around you, Ellen. Like, Jesus Christ. I mean, it's not.
If you weren't getting paid for your job, how seriously are you taking your job that you're not getting paid for, but you're forced to keep doing? Like,
Yeah.
how closely are you looking at that screen? Because if it was me, first of all, I wouldn't be there. But if they drugged me there and forced me to sit there and not get paid, listen, there'd be Baileys in my coffee and I wouldn't be looking at shit.
Colleen's letting nail files go
You're
through. She's
going
letting
to
all
go
sorts
to
of
work
stuff go
and
through.
do it, Colleen.
Okay, so can we do a summary of how we all
Hold on,
feel?
we didn't even talk about the crazy passengers.
I wanted to talk about the etiquette. Yeah, let's do a
Yeah.
really, really quick rundown of the etiquette. Okay, Dave.
Okay, first
quick.
of all, you used to have to. Sorry.
Go ahead,
So,
Dave. Quick etiquette. What do you think about
flight
plane
etiquette.
passenger etiquette?
Elbows on seat armrests are a driving me crazy type thing. Like when I have one armrest and the guy on the end or woman on the end wants to take this one and use mine, and I'm in the middle and I have nothing, or the person has their seat back on me when I'm trying to eat. You know what I mean? Like, I understand some people like to sleep. I kind of am a little more passive with that one because there's no real good way to do that. But like, or you're flying with somebody and they're like, I love the window. Well, I like the window too. So then it becomes a debate on who's getting the window.
Then all of a sudden your marriage is in crisis.
It's like, come on, dude. Like, I like to look out the window once in a while too. I'm bored. Like, give me something.
I get what
to
you're
do.
saying. I mean, there's only like 14 inches between you and the seat back.
Yeah,
so if
man.
someone decides they're having a nap, basically you're inhaling their dander the entire
What if
flight.
you get about a 700-800 pound person sitting next to you? Like, they're blobs on you. Like, what are you
Listen, I
doing?
am not a skinny person. And when I get into that seat, I take the seat.
Colleen, I
Right,
can
there's no
guarantee you're
extra
nowhere
room.
near 700 pounds.
No, but there's still no extra room, right? And then
No.
you have the guy sitting next to you who does the man spread, right? With the knees that are out this way instead of sitting like a normal person. Okay, that guy one day is going to get throat punched. I'm just saying. It's going to get throat punched.
Just so you know, the person who's stuck in the middle seat, the etiquette is you get access. If you're the middle seat person, you get both armrests. That is
And
etiquette.
you're fucked to begin
Thank
with.
you.
Yeah.
Thank
At
you.
least you should get some perks.
I should get
Right?
something. If I'm going to sit there and suffocate with man blubber and it's 90,000 degrees outside and the air barely works because we haven't started moving yet. So you're sweating there like a pig. And then you got his sweat on you like a pig. You're like, dude, I got to get off of here. I need
Yeah,
a
when your
shower.
arms start sticking together, there's a problem.
Yeah.
No, my issue with etiquette is people, like, first of all, you used to get dressed to go on a flight, right? Now, all of a sudden, people show up in pajamas.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they get
Hey,
on the
people want to be
flight,
comfortable.
and there's comfortable and there's pajamas.
Well, what kind of
Right?
pajamas are we talking about? We talking about like sweatpants looking pajamas? Like the
No,
guy-
like
No,
China
like
Sailor Man on the
full-on
pants?
pajamas and bunny slippers. So, but aside from that is the Karen that gets on the plane that decides it is her airplane. And her baggage counts more than anyone else's. And if you say something to her, all of a sudden there's a fist fight in the middle of the aisle. When did that become acceptable?
And
Like, if
that's
I
when-
can't bitch slap someone at ShopRite, why can't someone else bitch slap someone on the plane?
Because that's when ICE comes in and you get taken off the plane, Colleen. Don't you know how the rules work? Do we have
Colleen
to go
didn't even
over
make
this
it on
again?
the plane.
Yeah,
At this
like,
rate. Jesus.
You ain't
I'm still
slapping
at
no
the bar
one.
in the airport.
Just
Yeah,
like
well-
you can't say bomb on the plane. What
Oh
is
my
wrong
God.
with you?
My God.
I meant the shot. I meant the
Okay, Gabe
bomb, the Irish
Walker.
car bomb shot.
Yeah.
My summon.
Okay,
Chris, what's your
so
complaint about etiquette?
I think the people who feel that they're entitled, my family's separated. My son's in the back. He wants to sit with his family. And would you mind giving up your business class seat? Would you mind giving up your extra legroom seat? Would you mind giving up your window seat? Whatever it is that you have paid extra money for, okay? Because they're nickel and diming you all the time anyway. You pay extra money, you plan ahead, you get the seat that you want. And then some moron gets on the plane and they think that they're gonna talk down to you. They think that they're gonna make snide comments the whole time, stare at you, make you feel uncomfortable because of their poor planning. No. Now, with that being said, if it's a little kid who was flying alone, which you don't really see much of you don't see that a lot anymore these days, but every once in a while I have seen a little kid get brought on the plane by a flight attendant and maybe like it's a brother, sister, they're little, and I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I will change a seat for a little kid if they want to like sit together and it's easier for the flight attendant to keep an eye on them, whatever the case is. But a full grown adult who knows how to plan and doesn't want to plan ahead, but they think they have the right to take your seat because they just want it. Nope. Sorry.
I like how you pretend that they're even asking. They just come up to you and say, I need my so-and-so to sit there.
Yeah, well, too bad.
Okay, well, tough shit.
Yeah, well, I need my bank account to show $1 gazillion, but I don't see that happening either. So good luck. Go get in the back of the bus.
I need for you to get away from me because you have bad breath and your smell. Get away.
And we're back to the throat punch. Right there.
Okay,
We're back
so
to the throat punch.
And then ice
let's sum this up. Let's sum this up. How do we feel about traveling today versus what it used to be? And what is your final thought?
I will say this. I think it's a lot. I don't know that it's any safer or not safer than the old days, because I think a lot of the times back in the old days, they didn't talk about a lot of things. They just kind of let it go under the carpet or under the radar. And now, because you have technology and there's really no good way to hide it, everything's seen, they have to talk about it. So you see and you hear more of it. Plus there's social media, there's phones, there's cell phones, there's this phone, there's that phone. Somebody's recording something somewhere. And when they're recording that, if the airport doesn't report on it, then it's somebody's fault for not reporting out on it, because, hey, how come so-and-so sitting on his porch was able to see this and you guys are in the airport and you don't see it? So I don't know that there's any, if it's more safer to fly than it's not now. What I do think is, I think security has changed over the years because of the 9/11 thing. I think we have more, hoops to jump through than just your basic walk through. Here's my ticket, get on the plane and go.
Yeah.
And that with me is a good thing, because I think you need that to keep the psychopaths off the planes.
Right. Al, what do you think?
I think that there are probably 6 different issues with travel right now that could be addressed separately. There's security, there's plane etiquette, there's TSA, there's rule changes, and then there's the airlines themselves and their rules and regulations. I think that as passengers, we used to be able to complain and not worry about getting kicked off the plane. We used to be able to voice an opinion. You can't do that now. Now you're disruptive and causing a security incident and you're dragged off the plane and that's the end of you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you should have a full-on adult temper tantrum in the middle of the plane. I don't agree with that either. But I think that as consumers, we lost our voice somewhere along the line. I understand that there are protocols and procedures in place for safety purposes. But at the same time, if you buy a ticket and you board a plane and they booked too much cargo to ship and need to deboard you and your family, you should be able to voice your opinion that that's not cool. Like, I bought the ticket. I'm on the plane. You can't kick me off the plane.
Right.
And you can't. So I think as consumers, we lost our voice with the airline industry. I think it is overall safer with the 9/11 changes that happened, but I wish that they would be more universal. They're different for every airport you go to, every TSA agent you go to, even internationally. It's all different. Shoes on, shoes off, laptop in, laptop out, liquids allowed, liquids not allowed. it depends on where you go. And I would rather a more universal setting for that. And my God, include the baggage fees. For the love of God, include the baggage fees.
Or else Colleen's going to have a conniption.
Write your local governor, please. Contact your local mayor and complain that you want baggage fees included in the cost.
Yes, I do. Come on, Expedia, do better.
Okay.
Chris, what about you?
I think what we're seeing in airports right now, it's not a safety failure. I think it's a capacity problem. A TSA and air traffic control are stretched. The system's trying to keep up with the demand that came back faster than the workforce did, you know? ICE agents are not fixing the issue. They're filling space in a system that's trying to hold itself together. Flying is still incredibly safe, but the experience around it is where you're going to find your shortcomings. It's not about whether we're safe. It's about whether the system can keep up with the mounting pressures that are being put on it. So I think safety is strong and intact. I think the operations are strained and inconsistent. TSA, it's a bottleneck. ICE, not a solution at all. And the traveler experience, it's more complex and less predictable. You know, I don't think it's the air travel that's breaking. I think it's just being tested, really being tested. And I think everybody needs to get it together. And like Colleen said, have, you know, one rule across the board. Not, I mean, I could go through security and Colleen could go through security and I might have a bottle of shampoo and they'll take it off of me, but they'll see the same exact one with Colleen and they'll let her take it. Like, it's so inconsistent, like from person to person, not just airport to airport.
I was just going to say that. It all depends who's sitting there and at that time that, you know.
I excluded you, Dave, because you don't have hair. So there's that. But anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And
yeah.
That's our show for this evening.
Lotion for the pickle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he pummiced his head.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Calm as a pickle, people. Calm as a pickle.
And today's episode has been brought to you by our lovely sponsors, Trees Company out of Port Elizabeth, New Jersey.
Axe and Arrow Brewery out of Glassboro on High Street, right off of Rowan's campus.
KMT Consultant, 900 Haddon Avenue in Collingswood. By the way, it's tax season. Time to call KMT.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Until next time, stay safe, keep it real, remember who you are, and Dave, don't forget to pumice.
Yes, go Phils.
Thanks for listening to the show. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. See you next time on Three Friends and All the Things podcast. Real talk, real people. New episodes drop every week, so hit follow, leave a review, and tell your messiest friend to listen to. You know the one I'm talking about. Until next time, keep it real, keep it loud, and keep doing all the things.